Chapter 1892. As one of the 5 emperors of the Huangfu family, when had he ever suffered such humiliation? Especially when he heard Yiqing Luo said she was only 15 years old, he felt his face burning hot. He, the dignified Golden Emperor, addressed a 15-year-old young lady as senior. If this matter were to spread out, how could he survive in the Huangfu family? However, in the next instant the words 15 years old stunned Elder Jin. 15 years old? This young lady was only 15 years old? 15 years old and already had such powerful and boundless power? When did that bunch of trash from the lower realm have such incredible innate talent? Cut the crap, this godforsaken place is going to give birth to a new monster. Yiqing Luo strolled to the front of Qiao Jin and Yen Xiaoyi as she crossed her arms. I'm their representative, whatever family matters you have, just say it. Qing Luo? Qiao Jin frowned and immediately tugged at Yiqing Luo. Don't go against the Huangfu family, that's a power that we can't go against. They want me, I'll just go back with them. Yiqing Luo directly slapped the back of Qiao Jin's hand. She sneered at Qiao Jin as the anger in her eyes was obvious. Shut the F***ck up, I haven't even taught you a lesson and you're already thinking of escaping with that old man? Saying that, she winked at Yen Xiaoyi's direction. That wicked smile on her lips was like a blooming poppy, giving off a fatal temptation. Xiaoyi, don't worry, if this fellow dares to hurt your heart, I'll beat him till he can't get up. Yen Xiaoyi was stunned and was about to shake her head to reject. Qiao Jin didn't love her, that was a problem with her charm. Even if she beat Qiao Jin up, that wouldn't change the fact that Qiao Jin didn't love her. But at the next moment, when she met Qiao Jin's surprise, a helpless expression flashed past her eyes. She suddenly seemed to have caught on to something. She nodded her head at Yiqing Luo. All right, I'll wait for you to teach him a lesson on my behalf. Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she shifted her gaze back onto Elder Jin. Old man, you've heard it too. I have to bring this lad back home to teach him a lesson, so there's no way for me to let him go, so I've troubled you to make a wasted trip all the way here. You, preposterous. Elder Jin flew into a rage and he fumed with rage. Who the hell are you? Yiqing Luo smiled sweetly, the person who snatched him from you. A cold glint flashed across Emperor Jin's golden and black eyes. Impudent. Huangfu Dongyu's face was gloomy, and he assumed the attitude of eldest young master Huangfu. He furrowed his brows and glared at Qiao Jin. Fifth brother, are these the random friends you made in the lower bound? He snorted coldly, full of disdain. She's shameless and doesn't know how to be reserved. One is arrogant, willful, and has no manners at all. I really don't know what exactly you've done in the lower worlds to embarrass the Huangfu family. Hearing Huangfu Dongyu's reprimand, Yen Xiaoyi's face turned green and red. She bit her lower lip tightly, enduring the shame in her heart. Qiao Jin noticed Yen Xiaoyi's expression. He turned sideways and suddenly stretched out his hand to hold Yen Xiaoyi's little hand. His large, broad palm held her tightly. Yen Xiaoyi raised her head in astonishment, as she tried to retract her hand in a fluster. But Qiao Jin held her even tighter as he shook his head at her. He indicated to her not to take Huangfu Dongyu's words to heart. Just as the both of them were entangled, the crisp sound of a slap resounded through the silent void. Star. Chapter 1893. How dare you hit me? You're just a lowly human from the lower realm, how dare you hit me? Huangfu Dongyu's raging voice was hoarse and sharp. He covered his face. That handsome and gloomy face had already swollen up. Huangfu Qifei and Huangfu Fengyan's expressions turned extremely ugly. Yiqing Luo actually hit their Huangfu family's eldest young master right in front of them. Wasn't this a blatant slap to their Huangfu family? Jin Huang Lao's expression was extremely ugly. But it wasn't because Yiqing Luo had slapped the Huangfu family's face. But he was astonished because when did Yiqing Luo make a move under his eyelids? If it wasn't for that crisp slap. He probably didn't even realize that his eldest young master had been slapped by a 15-year-old young lady. Following that, a scene that made Jin Huang Lao even more shocked happened. He saw Yiqing Luo's lips curled up into a charming smile. That stunning face that could topple a city was bewitching and seductive, exuding an extremely seductive charm. Even the Jin Huang Lao who was over 50 years old couldn't help but lost his senses. He had to admit that this 15-year-old young lady indeed had the capital to become a femme fatale that could bring calamity to the country. I not only hit you, I also kicked you. The young lady's voice was sweet and slightly chilly. As the young lady's laughter approached, before Huangfu Dongyu could react, he felt a dull pain in his chest. Immediately, his body felt light as he flew out directly. Bam! In the end, Huangfu Donghuang's body crashed heavily into the empty space. Huangfu Donghuang rolled on the ground in pain as he wailed and tried to get up. He had just sat up when he felt a fishy taste in his throat. With a pft sound, he spat out a mouthful of blood, which stained his brocade robe. Lowly human from the lower realm, do you know what our Huangfu family is? Huangfu Fengyan was terrified as she stared at Yiqing Luo in horror. It seemed that they couldn't imagine that this innocent-looking young lady would actually hit their eldest brother again and again. Yiqing Luo sneered as her gloomy voice seemed to be ridiculing them. Don't let me hear a single word that insults my friend, otherwise every time I hear it, I will beat you up. Huangfu Fengyan was so angry that her entire body was trembling. Yiqing Luo raised her eyebrows, her bright and beautiful face was overflowing with a flamboyant aura. It seemed to be saying, "You don't believe me? Then go ahead and curse. See if this old lady will beat you to death." Huangfu Fengyan was so angry that her eyes turned red. She asked Elder Jin for help in a low voice. At this moment, Emperor Jin felt as if his old face had been slapped loudly. This time it was reasonable to say that he was too careless. But the second time was simply looking down on his authority as an imperial elder. Emperor Jin could not be bothered to guess the true identity of this 15-year-old girl. He only knew that if he allowed Yiqing Luo to make a move and insult his Huangfu family's young master or young Mississippi, their Huangfu clan would become a joke. His brocade robe fluttered, and his golden eyes suddenly shot out an extremely cold light. The next moment Yiqing Luo clearly sensed it. The profound qi and fluctuations around Emperor Jin's body were constantly increasing. The surrounding air also began to condense into frost under the lingering of his profound energy. Chapter 1894. Yiqing Luo wasn't worried at all in the face of the violent profound energy. She stood in front of Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi. She straightened her back without any intention of retreating. On the contrary, her pink lips curled into a sweet smile. As if she didn't care about Elder Jin's attack at all. Without a doubt, this caused Emperor Jin to feel even more humiliated. His anger surged, and the aura around his body began to surge one after another. The profound qi was like a raging wave just as it neared Yiqing Luo. Suddenly, a stronger wave of profound qi blocked in front of Yiqing Luo. It easily turned Elder Jin's profound qi into nothingness. Elder Jin stared at the wave of profound qi in front of Yiqing Luo in shock. The expression on his face changed unpredictably. Not only had his profound energy been blocked, but it had also directly dissipated? How was that possible? Even in the upper realm, there weren't many people who could dissipate his profound qi. How could anyone in this lower realm be able to block his power? What on earth was going on? There was such a powerful person in the lower realm. How could the people in the upper realm allow such a person to destroy the peace in the lower realm? Old man, are you surprised? Are you surprised? Yiqing Luo giggled. Who are you? Who are you? Elder Jin staggered a few steps back. His eyes were filled with unconcealable fear. Huangfu Fengyan barely managed to support Emperor Jin. The three siblings looked at each other and their hearts were filled with shock. Who was Elder Jin? He was an extremely distinguished existence in the Huangfu family. But at this moment he actually revealed a fearful expression towards a 15-year-old girl. Not only that, Elder Jin didn't gain any advantage in the hands of this 15-year-old girl. This world was too fantastical. Yiqing Luo smiled and tilted her head. Old man, not only is your power weak, even your ears are weak? Why do you always make me repeat the same words? Saying that, she sighed softly and pretended to be helpless. No choice, I am the daughter of a good family who respects the old and loves the young. I have to explain again, I am Qiao Jin in this lady's family. If you want to settle your family matters, look for me. Respects the old and loves the young? Daughter of a good family? Why didn't they see it? In particular, Emperor Jin's current expression was ashen and ugly, like a vegetable. In the next instant, the great desolate yin power in his body would go out of control. This was probably the first time the Metal Emperor had met someone who doubted his strength. Emperor Jin was supported by Huangfu Fengyan. Huangfu Dongyu was supported by Huangfu Qifei. The four of them stood opposite Yiqing Luo and felt an indescribable strong pressure, pressing down on their necks, making it hard for them to stand straight. On the other hand, the people in front of them were smiling sweetly and chatting happily. This joy was imagined by Huangfu and the other two. In reality, Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi's expressions contained hints of worry. Qing Luo Huangfu family isn't a family from Nirvana realm. They are a family from the upper realm, heaven realm's four great families. Xiao Jin looked at Emperor Jin's ugly expression as he reminded Yi Qing Luo softly. Heaven realm? Yi Qing Luo raised her brows in surprise. Little Jin, you're actually from the heaven realm, that's amazing. This wasn't the main point, alright. The main point was that the target she was clamoring about was the forces from the upper realm's heaven realm. Offending the heaven realm's forces would have a huge impact on her future. If Huangfu family wanted to find trouble with Yi Qing Luo because of today's matter. Chapter 1895. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips rose slightly as she raised her hand and rubbed Xiao Jin's head. Be good, don't panic. Before I kill you, I will absolutely not let Huangfu family's people kill you. Xiao Jin gave up on communicating with Yi Qing Luo. They chatted as if there was no one else around. This caused the rage in the depths of Emperor Jin's heart to surge. He narrowed his eyes, and while Yi Qing Luo was still chatting with Xiao Jin, his golden pupils suddenly flashed. A ray of golden light turned into a soaring energy as it sneaked an attack on Yi Qing Luo. Qing Luo. Yan Xiaoyi faced this direction and immediately cried out in fear, "Be careful." Yi Qing Luo blinked her eyes. Her long curly eyelashes were like butterfly wings, gently fluttering. Hearing Yan Xiaoyi's call, she waved her hand without a change in expression. It's all right. His words had just ended when the golden light had already rushed in front of Yi Qing Luo. With a loud bang, the golden light engulfed Yi Qing Luo entirely. Qing Luo. Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi cried out in alarm at the same time. Yan Xiaoyi wanted to rush forward and break through the golden light. Xiao Jin held her little hand tightly. The expression on his face was extremely solemn. Don't go over. Elder Jin's power is not something you and I can contend with. If you are touched by Elder Jin's dark force, even you will be engulfed. Qing Luo is here to save us. Yan Xiaoyi struggled against Xiao Jin's hand as her eyes instantly turned red. With a sobbing tone, she angrily rebuked Emperor Jin. So what if you're the Emperor Elder of a great family in the heaven realm? You still have to sneak up on a 15-year-old girl. Is this the style of your so-called big families? Emperor Jin was extremely annoyed by the scolding. His face was boiling hot, and his heart was filled with shame. However, he would never admit that he had ambushed a 15-year-old girl. As long as he killed these people, who would find out if he hid this matter? With this thought in mind, Emperor Jin looked at Yan Xiaoyi with a murderous look in his eyes. Elder Jin Huang. Xiao Jin immediately pulled Yan Xiaoyi into his arms. He stared at Elder Jin warily and threateningly. As the heir, I order you to retract your murderous aura. Emperor Jin laughed sinisterly. All of a sudden he left the spot. Like a bolt of lightning, he darted towards Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin's golden eyes flashed and he hurriedly wrapped his arms around Yan Xiaoyi's waist to avoid Elder Jin's attack. He narrowed his golden eyes and a dazzling golden light shot out. Are you disobeying the heir's orders? This old man is only doing this for the future of the successor's young master. These evil women who have changed the successor's young master must be eliminated. Elder Jin spoke in a dignified manner. Obviously he had made up his mind to kill Yan Xiaoyi. You want to eliminate us? Suddenly, a clear and melodious voice came from behind Emperor Jin. It was like a pearl falling onto a plate, pleasant to the ear. However, in Emperor Jin's ears, but it was like an evil ghost that wanted to take his life. It was as if an ice-cold hand had gripped his neck. Emperor Jin's body suddenly tensed up. A cold object was pressed against his neck. A face that could topple cities appeared in front of him. The girl's charming eyes curved into a long and narrow arc, bewitching and seductive. She was laughing. Her smile was charming and enchanting. Emperor Jin's heart skipped a beat and suddenly shrank. Just like what the old man said, as Jin Zi's family, I should eliminate evil people like you who don't think for the successor. Yi Qing Luo said with a smile, but the seriousness in her words could be heard. Emperor Jin didn't dare to move. Chapter 1896. Yi Qing Luo blinked her pure and innocent eyes as she beamed, because I have a protector. Protector? What the hell was that? Elder Jin's face was filled with uneasiness and doubt. Yi Qing Luo very kindly raised her voice. My guardian angel, there's someone here who wants to see you. In the air there seemed to be a faint sigh. That sigh was filled with a touch of pampering and helplessness. The next moment, the surrounding aura suddenly fluctuated, pressing down on everyone, making it hard for them to breathe. Shortly after, the void turned pitch black. A man dressed in a purple robe, like a banished immortal, stepped on the air. The purple robe billowed, peerless. The figure that was slowly walking over was surrounded by a purple flowing light. Under the pitch-black void, it was extremely eye-catching. When a few pairs of eyes fell on that peerless face of peerless elegance, all of a sudden their legs went limp. In the next instant he knelt on the ground with a clatter. Elder Jean didn't even care about Yiqing Luo's glower flame fan as he knelt directly on the ground. The sharp blade cut through his skin. He didn't care at all as he respectfully knelt on the ground. Yiqing Luo kept her glower flame fan and stretched out her hands to the man who was coming towards her. "Protector, I want a hug." The man's peach blossom eyes were filled with a pool of spring water. The way he looked at Yiqing Luo was pampering and gentle. He stretched out his hand and caught the young lady who pounced on him. His slender fingers gently brushed the hair on her forehead. Yiqing Luo rubbed against his palm contentedly, like a cat who had succeeded in stealing a fish. The sweet atmosphere between the two of them. Anyone could tell the relationship between the two of them. Elder Jin's forehead was covered in cold sweat. No wonder a 15-year-old girl was able to block his attack and dissipate his profound energy. So it was the Overlord who had been secretly protecting her. If he had known that this young lady and the Overlord were so close, he would never come down to the Nirvana realm to catch any successor. Get up and get lost. Dmo Xian glanced at Elder Jean and the others. His tone was cold and emotionless. Emperor Jean kowtowed fiercely and said with a trembling voice, Yes. This lowly one will leave immediately. As he spoke, he crawled up from the ground, dragging the other 3 Huangfu siblings with him as he hurriedly left. Wait. Dmo Xian's eyes flickered as he spoke in a calm voice. Dong dong dong. The sound of their knees hitting the ground was extremely clear. When Yiqing Luo heard that, she couldn't help but felt a stinging pain in her knees. Xiao Jin is the brother of the future empress. If the future empress does not release him, then you people from the heaven realm should obediently stay in the heaven realm and not try to create trouble. His voice was calm and there was no way to hide his emotions. However, he was still emanating an irresistible pressure. It was as if he was born with a sense of nobility that made people unable to help but kneel and kowtow. Emperor Jean trembled uncontrollably, not daring to defy him at all. Not only did he want them to stop harassing Xiao Jin. Even if Dmo Xian wanted Xiao Jin to never return to the Huangfu family, he would also agree. Who cares about their ancestors' recognition? Who cares about the Huangfu clan's inheritance? Once Di Zun was offended, don't even talk about inheritance. Whether the Huangfu clan could still exist was a problem. Dmo Xian swept a glance at Huangfu clan and the rest and spat out a word coldly, get lost. The next moment, Emperor Jean led the 3 of them and left without stopping. Chapter 1897. The battle plain was immersed in dead silence. Yiqing Luo stretched her waist as her slender brows rose slightly, as she swept a glance at Dmo Xian with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Her 2 fair and tender little hands climbed onto his face. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled into a charming smile. My protector, the person has already been saved, tell me? How do we break the array? Dmo Xian held onto the little hand which was pinching his face, as he knew the anger under her smile. He sighed lightly as he grabbed her hand and placed it by his lips, giving a light kiss. If you want to break it, I can do it anytime. Yiqing Luo's smile became even more radiant, but she withdrew her hand from his lips. The atmosphere was a little strange. On the other side, Xiao Jin's golden eyes were filled with a complicated expression as he looked at Dmo Xian, as though he was trying to guess something. But when Dmo Xian inadvertently glanced over and fixed his gaze on him, Xiao Jin suddenly felt a chill in his heart. His eyes flickered slightly as though he understood something. He immediately hid away the complicated deep meaning in his eyes, as he lowered his eyelids and hugged the lady in his arms tightly. Qing Luo? His voice broke the strange atmosphere. He hugged Yan Xiaoyi as he walked towards Yiqing Luo as his face turned pale. You're too rash. Huangfu family's power is something you can't imagine. Moreover, those arrogant imperial elders are so narrow-minded, they will not let you off. He raised his eyes and took a look at Dmo Xian as he pursed his lips. Even if the Overlord is here today, but the Overlord can't possibly be by your side all the time. If Huangfu family wants to make a move, I'm afraid even the entire imperial palace will not be able to protect you. Xiao Jin had grown up in Huangfu family since young. He knew everything about Huangfu family like the back of his hand. That seemingly noble and powerful family. Just how dirty and disgusting was it behind the scenes? Especially those 5 sanctimonious imperial elders, each more sinister and treacherous than the other. Yiqing Luo had humiliated the golden imperial elders today. and humiliated the three Huangfu family members. Huangfu family would definitely not let Yiqing Luo off easily. Yiqing Luo struggled her arm. Diamo Xian released the hand which was around her waist. Breaking away from the man's restraint, Yiqing Luo slowly walked towards Qiao Jin. He was only 2 steps away from Qiao Jin. She stood still, and the corners of her mouth curled into a wicked and arrogant smile. That pair of enchanting and bewitching eyes flashed with nobility and elegance that made people look up to her. Jin, I've said this before. No matter who it is, those who offend me will be killed no matter how far away they are. So what if it's the upper realm, one of the 4 heavenly clans of the heaven realm? Her tone was calm. However, it still caused everyone to feel a boundless shock. Those who offend me will be punished no matter how far away they are. What kind of confidence did he have to be able to say such a thing? Qiao Jin's anxious and worried heart slowly settled down from Yiqing Luo's words. Since you don't want to return to the Huangfu family and become the so-called heir, then don't go back. No one can force you to do anything. Yes, except for me, of course. Yiqing Luo said in a serious manner, but suddenly thought of something and immediately changed her words. The solemn atmosphere instantly collapsed because of this change of words. Yiqing Luo gave a few dry coughs as she raised her hand and patted Qiao Jin's shoulder hard. To me, living a good life with my brothers, relatives and lover is enough. As for the rest, as long as we are united, there's nothing we can't cross. Qing Luo? Qiao Jin's golden eyes flashed as he was so touched that he murmured Yiqing Luo's name. The next instant, Yiqing Luo's heart-stirring smile on her face was replaced with a strange and crafty cold smile. Star. Chapter 1898. Bam! A loud sound was heard. Yiqing Luo's finger knocked hard on Qiao Jin's forehead. That strength was obvious just from the sound alone. Yiqing Luo absolutely did not show any mercy. Lil Luo, Diamo Xian's brows creased as he immediately held Yiqing Luo's finger as his expression sunk. Qiao Jin hugged his head in pain as tears welled up in his eyes. A pair of golden eyes looked at Diamo Xian with an extremely aggrieved look. Right, Overlord, quickly teach this violent woman a lesson. If he didn't restrain her. In the future when they got married, the news of Overlord suffering from domestic violence would spread throughout the entire Nirvana realm. However, Qiao Jin only saw Diamo Xian holding Yiqing Luo's hand gently. His slender fingers touched the finger which she used to knock Qiao Jin's forehead earlier. If you want to hit him, just use any fellow to hit him. Why do you need to do it yourself? What if your finger hurts from knocking? Qiao Jin. Was there any justice in this world? Qiao Jin's heart was filled with grief and indignation as he resisted the urge to condemn Diamo Xian and Yiqing Luo for abusing the dog. Suddenly, a hand gently pressed on the place where he was knocked by Yiqing Luo earlier. A soft little hand carrying a lady's fragrance. Qiao Jin's heart inexplicably turned soft. Does it still hurt? Yan Shaoyi rubbed his forehead as her fingertips were gentle, as though she was afraid that she would hurt him. That little hand was like a feather, rubbing around his heart. Qiao Jin's heart melted a little. A broad palm held Yan Shaoyi's hand tightly. I don't feel pain. The man's palm temperature was scorching hot. It also scorched Yan Shaoyi's hand. Yan Shaoyi's beautiful eyes flashed as she immediately retracted her hand. Sorry. Qiao Jin subconsciously wanted to grab it, but his hand stretched out halfway as he thought of something. His hand froze in midair and finally retracted back bit by bit. He shut his eyes as he suppressed the restlessness in his heart. When Yiqing Luo saw this, her lips twitched a few times. This Qiao Jin, what on earth was his brain thinking about? Shaoyi had already done this much. If he was a man, shouldn't he take this opportunity to express his feelings? Why was he still acting coy? What was he trying to do? Earlier, Elder Jin had tried several times to get Qiao Jin to bring Yan Shaoyi back to Huangfu family but was rejected by Qiao Jin, which Yiqing Luo had witnessed. There was only one word in her heart to describe her feelings at that time. Damn. Shit. This kind of melodramatic plot was happening right in front of her eyes. What's more, the female lead was her best friend. At that time, Yiqing Luo's heart felt as though there were 10,000 bulls galloping around. Now Qiao Jin still had a look of enduring love. Yiqing Luo's impatient character couldn't wait to knead the both of them into a ball and settle the matter directly. Yiqing Luo took a deep breath and calmed her impatient heart. Soon after, she fixed her gaze on Qiao Jin and said in a calm voice, Qiao Jin, if you're still a man, then sort out your own feelings. Don't force your own thoughts onto others. Just because you think something is good doesn't mean it's really good. You're always worrying about whether you'll be a burden in the future, hurting others, hurting yourself, and in the end you'll be alone for the rest of your life, regretting it for the rest of your life. She intentionally emphasized on the word, her, as though she was referring to something. When Xiao Jin heard that, his body tensed up as though he was moved by Yiqing Luo's words. Yiqing Luo continued, one should live in the present and live well every single day today. If you're worrying about tomorrow every day, then tomorrow after tomorrow, how tired would you be living? Chapter 1899. Xiao Jin's mind kept reverberating with Yiqing Luo's words. His throat was dry, and after spitting out a word, he didn't say anything else. Yiqing Luo's words were right. He was indeed a waste. So useless that he didn't even dare to grab his own future. In his mind, Yan Xiaoyi's hurt expression surfaced. Yan Xiaoyi looked at him, her eyes were filled with pain. Yan Xiaoyi was exhausted, as though she had lost all hope towards this relationship. But at the next moment, Xiao Jin recalled these 2 days. Yan Xiaoyi kept on brainwashing him, saying that she liked him, loved him, and didn't want to leave him. She was such a proud lady. But she put down her status under the situation where he didn't respond. She kept repeating her feelings over and over again, as though she wanted to tell him all her love. Xiao Jin's heart suddenly twitched fiercely. A dull pain struck his entire body. He thought that he was doing it for her good. But in actual fact he hurt her deeply. He had been worrying for nothing and had imposed his own thoughts on Yan Xiaoyi. He wanted Yan Xiaoyi to accompany him and suffer from the pain of this relationship. He was really too selfish. Too selfish. In the name of love he did things that hurt Yan Xiaoyi. He really wasn't fit to be called a man. That old man has almost cleared all the surrounding monsters, and the next wave of newborn monsters will probably be 1 hour later. You have 1 hour here to talk things out clearly. Yiqing Luo looked at Xiao Jin's moved expression as his body was trembling slightly as she spoke calmly. Feelings is most afraid of dragging it out. Speaking to this point, Yiqing Luo's voice paused as she squinted her eyes as a tinge of apprehension surfaced. Lastly, let me give you a piece of advice. You're not Xiaoyi, so what right do you have to make a decision for Xiaoyi? Saying that, she tugged Dmo Xian's sleeve, as she turned around and walked towards the other direction of the battle plane. In this empty space, only Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi were left. Earlier, Yiqing Luo's words were all heard by Yan Xiaoyi. It wasn't that she didn't understand the deep meaning behind Yiqing Luo's words. But she didn't dare to understand, nor did she dare to think too much. Afraid that if she thought too much, it would only make her feel more despair. Looking at Yiqing Luo's departing figure, Yan Xiaoyi instinctively wanted to chase after him. She didn't want to be alone with Xiao Jin. He also didn't want to hear the answer from Xiao Jin's mouth. But Yan Xiaoyi was just about to leave with Yiqing Luo when her wrist was held tightly by his large palm. She was shocked and wanted to break free from his hand. Her evasive attitude made Xiao Jin's handsome brows knit together tightly. He grabbed her wrist forcefully and pulled her into his arms. His powerful arms restrained the woman and pressed her delicate body into his embrace, not giving her any chance to struggle free. You, let go. Yan Xiaoyi pursed her red lips, not daring to look into his eyes. Was he in such a hurry to cut all ties with her? Xiao Jin knew that his previous actions had hurt Yan Xiaoyi's heart, which was why Yan Xiaoyi was against him. But want to talk to her gently. Yan Xiaoyi didn't have that intention and just wanted to escape. Xiao Jin's heart sunk as he recalled what Yiqing Luo said. He didn't want to make himself regret again. He also didn't want to hurt Yan Xiaoyi again, to make himself suffer, to make Yan Xiaoyi suffer with him. How his future would turn out. It depended on himself and no one else. Thinking in this way, the decision in Xiao Jin's heart became even firmer. His slender fingers clasped Yan Xiaoyi's lower jaw tightly, forcing her to raise her eyes and meet his gaze. Star. Chapter 1900. Slut Jean. What the hell do you want? Yan Xiaoyi was unable to shift her line of sight, and could only use her beautiful eyes to glare fiercely at him. Her pink cheeks were tainted with a trace of shame and anger. What do you want to say? What do you want to say? I'll listen, I'll listen. The strength of Xiao Jin's fingers slightly lessened. His eyes had already returned to their ink-black color. His deep eyes stared fixedly at Yan Xiaoyi. Looking at her gradually reddening eyes, his heart twitched violently again. In the past, you didn't even know how to be reserved and kept pestering me, saying that you loved me. Now, you're not even willing to talk to me? The Yan Xiaoyi of the past 2 days was even more pitiful. Unexpectedly, this sentence of his made Yan Xiaoyi's eyes redden even more. She bit her red lips and her eyes were filled with a trace of resentment. She stared into Xiao Jin's eyes and said word by word, "Yes, I don't know how to be reserved. Xiao Jin, I just like you. Because I like you, I don't need to be reserved. Are you satisfied now?" Xiao Jin. He was dumbfounded. Did he say something wrong again? Looking at Yan Xiaoyi, who was on the verge of tears, Xiao Jin wished he could slap his own mouth. He hurriedly let go of Yan Xiaoyi's chin and wrapped his arms around her petite body. He frantically tried to explain, "Sorry, Xiaoyi, I didn't mean it that way." Yan Xiaoyi quietly lowered her head and did not speak. Xiao Jin hurriedly said, "I'm not saying that you don't know how to be reserved. I mean I want to keep you here. Don't go, listen to me." Yan Xiaoyi was still quiet, but her heart was beating faster. Xiao Jin's attitude and tone of voice. It made Yan Xiaoyi feel as though she was in a dream, but she didn't dare to think too much. "Xiaoyi, other than the students of Devil class, I've never had any special contact with any girl before, so I don't really know how to coax a girl and I don't really know how to not treat a girl as my own brother." Little by little, Xiao Jin's words caused Yan Xiaoyi's heart to tremble. She lifted her eyes in shock and looked at Xiao Jin's face in disbelief. He said, "We don't treat each other like brothers." What does that mean? He said he wanted to coax her? Was she dreaming? But when she met Xiao Jin's eyes, that pair of eyes that were usually frivolous were now filled with sincerity. His large palm cupped her little face. "Xiaoyi, didn't I promise you that as long as we can leave this place alive, I will tell you my answer?" Yan Xiaoyi's chest tightened as her heartbeat accelerated. His gaze was fixed on Yiqing Luo without blinking. "My answer is Yan Xiaoyi. Towards you, I don't like you." His beating heart suddenly felt as if it had fallen into an icehouse. His heart was throbbing, and in that instant, it suddenly turned cold, so cold that it could pierce through his bones. Yan Xiaoyi's eyes gradually reddened. What else was she hoping for? After a long time, she lowered her eyes, wanting to pry open Xiao Jin's hands. However, he suddenly pressed his lips against hers. His warm, thin lips kissed away the tears at the corner of her eyes. His kiss was extremely gentle, extremely gentle. "Towards you, I don't just like you. I love you. I love you, Yan Xiaoyi." His deep voice, beside her ear, was like a splendid firework blossoming. She was stunned. Because of his gentle kiss, her heart, which was in a daze, seemed to have stopped beating. She almost forgot to breathe. What did he say? He loved her? He loved her. Chapter 1901. Drops of tears rolled down from the corners of her eyes. It was different from the tears just now. These were tears of joy. "Xiaoyi, I'm serious. I really, really love you." When Xiao Jin saw that her tears were gushing out even more fiercely, he raised his hand helplessly and wiped her tears away. He stammered over his feelings for her. From his appearance, it was obvious that he had no experience in the field of relationships. Yan Xiaoyi couldn't help but let out a laugh. There were tears in her smile, and her beautiful eyes were filled with joy and sweetness. "Xiaoyi, I'm telling the truth. Don't doubt me." Xiao Jin anxiously held her hand. "From a very, very long time ago, I only had eyes for you." "A long time ago?" Yan Xiaoyi wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. "How long ago?" Xiao Jin's ears turned red. It's just that a long time ago when I first saw you in the devil class, I fell in love with you." Yan Xiaoyi laughed. "Love at first sight?" Xiao Jin nodded vigorously. Actually, Xiao Jin himself did not dare to believe that he would fall in love at first sight with a woman from the lower realms. But it was that one glance, Yan Xiaoyi's figure, her smile and her frown, that had been deeply engraved in her heart. Xiao Jin tightened his arms around Yan Xiaoyi's slender waist. "Xiaoyi, I'm sorry. I've always loved you, but I used that as an excuse to hurt you." Yan Xiaoyi's teary eyes were filled with sweet happiness. However, after hearing Xiao Jin's words, a cunning look flashed across her eyes as she pushed his chest forcefully. "I don't believe you." Xiao Jin instantly panicked. "Really? I really liked you from the beginning. Then why, even though it was love at first sight, you refused to tell me? Even when I threw away my reservations and took the initiative to tell you my feelings, you still refused me." The delicate Yan Xiaoyi, at this moment in front of the man she loved, was like the girl next door. At this moment, Yan Xiaoyi understood clearly why the usually arrogant Yiqing Luo in front of DMO Xian would behave like a lady. She was like this now. Yan Xiaoyi did not intend to let Xiao Jin win the beauty so easily. If it wasn't for Yiqing Luo's words which woke Xiao Jin up, wouldn't she be left behind by Xiao Jin for a period of time? Wasn't she going to be depressed because of Xiao Jin's rejection? Thinking up to here, anger surfaced on Yan Xiaoyi's face. Xiao Jin trembled with fear as he watched and immediately explained in a warm voice, "You have also seen it, my clan? I'm not someone from the Nirvana realm. In the future, I will definitely head to the Heaven realm and become the successor of the Huangfu clan." At this point, his expression dimmed a little. "I have no interest in the Huangfu clan, but the inheritance of the Huangfu clan is this pair of golden eyes. I'm the only one in the Huangfu clan who has both golden eyes. Only the inheritor of the Huangfu clan recognized by ancestor Huangfu will have two golden eyes." Yan Xiaoyi's anger dissipated a little. She reached out and wrapped her arms around his waist. "Is it because of your identity and your family that you keep rejecting me?" The Heaven realm was a place she could only look up to. If Xiao Jin returned to the Huangfu clan and inherited the Huangfu clan, she and Xiao Jin would be separated by several planes, unable to meet each other again. "Yes." Xiao Jin buried his head on her shoulder. "I'm afraid that after we're together, if I have to leave you, you will be in even more pain. Star. Chapter 1902. There's another very important point. I'm afraid that because of me, you will meet with misfortune." Xiao Jin's voice was somewhat low and gloomy. "I'm an inauspicious person. In the Huangfu family, everyone sees me as a plague and can't wait to keep a distance from me. If I didn't have a pair of golden eyes recognized by my ancestors, I'm afraid I wouldn't have lived until now." There was a hint of bitterness in his tone. Who didn't wish to have family? However, his extravagant wish would forever remain an extravagant wish. "On the day I was born, my father died in an accident in the study. My mother also bled heavily to give birth to me. Her body was so weak that she could only spend the rest of her days in bed. My mother had a lowly status and had always been ostracized in the Huangfu family. If it wasn't for me, my mother wouldn't have stayed in the Huangfu family, and she wouldn't have become like this." At the mention of his mother, Xiao Jin's tone was full of guilt and sorrow. He tightened his arms and deeply inhaled the woman's fragrance. She was the only one who could calm his restless heart. It was the first time she heard Xiao Jin talk about his family. Yan Xiaoyi's heart was exceptionally heavy, especially when she heard his bitter laughter. Her heart ached even more. Those people from the Huangfu family are vicious and merciless. They have always hated my existence and don't want me to appear in the Huangfu family and become the heir. If they know that I have a lover in the lower realm, they will definitely attack you in order to control me or deal with me." Xiao Jin's body trembled slightly. It was as if he couldn't imagine that scene. Yan Xiaoyi's throat tightened. She gently hugged his head. "Just now, when Elder Jin asked you to bring me back to the Huangfu family, you refused. Was it actually to protect me?" "Yes." Xiao Jin rubbed her delicate shoulder. "I don't want you to be in danger because of me. You're really stupid." Yan Xiaoyi pursed her red lips speechlessly. "From your behavior just now, anyone can see that you value me very much, okay? Do you really think that Elder Jin won't attack me because of your refusal?" The hand that was hugging his head couldn't help but knock on his head. "Rather than leaving me alone in the lower realm, why not bring me with you, at least in front of your eyes? Only when you see it with your own eyes can you be truly safe." Xiao Jin was startled, suddenly lifting his messy head from the rubbing of her palms. Yan Xiaoyi was right. Clearly Elder Jin had seen through his lies just now. No matter how much he tried to distance himself from Yan Xiaoyi, no matter how cold he treated Yan Xiaoyi. However, with Emperor Jin's temperament, he would rather kill the wrong person than let him off. How could he let go of Yan Xiaoyi, who had fought alongside him? He was too worried about Yan Xiaoyi. Instead, he neglected the others. "Don't you know, you thought you were doing it for my own good, but not only did you push me to a more dangerous place, you also—" Yan Xiaoyi pursed her lips, looking like she was about to cry. "You broke my heart." Xiaoyi, don't cry, don't cry." Xiao Jin instantly panicked, his eyes filled with panic and helplessness. He reached out to wipe Yan Xiaoyi's face. "I know I was wrong. I now know that I was wrong. If you're upset, then hit me. I'll hit you until you're appeased, okay? Don't you know, what you said to Elder Jin really made me want to give up on you." Yan Xiaoyi's beautiful reddened eyes stared deeply at Xiao Jin. Star. Chapter 1903. Xiao Jin grabbed her little hand and blew on his face. "It's all my fault, my mind isn't clear and I've made the wrong decision." Yan Xiaoyi's little hand was grabbed by him. She kept on pounding on his face with force. Towards this, Yan Xiaoyi expressed her extreme helplessness. Her lips twitched a few times as she forcefully retracted her hand from his hand. Xiao Jin was stunned, thinking that Yan Xiaoyi wasn't willing to forgive him as a sliver of nervousness and cautiousness surfaced on his face. His jet-black eyes looked at Yan Xiaoyi carefully. This look made Yan Xiaoyi not know whether to laugh or cry. Did she look that fierce? Was her temper that big? She only wanted to throw a tantrum, to grumble and complain about Xiao Jin, at least to get back all the disheartened feelings that she had suffered in Xiao Jin's hands. Who knew that Xiao Jin would be so anxious? Yan Xiaoyi's little hand circled around his waist as she pinched his tight waist fiercely as she complained helplessly, "I really don't know what's going on in your mind. Thinking of you." Xiao Jin buried his head on her shoulder as his words were unclear, "My mind is filled with you." Yan Xiaoyi's cheeks flushed red. When did he become so glib-tongued? He actually knew how to say such words to make her happy? Although she had been flirted with. But Yan Xiaoyi tried her best to maintain her rationality, in order not to be angered by Xiao Jin's stupidity in the future. Yan Xiaoyi expressed that she must untie the knot in Xiao Jin's heart. Hence, Yan Xiaoyi's fingers which were pinching Xiao Jin's waist became even more forceful as her beautiful eyes were filled with a sliver of anger. "It's too late to say nice things now. Slut Jin, Qing Luo is right about one thing. On what basis do you have to make decisions for me?" Xiao Jin gave a light hiss as he drew in a breath of cold air in pain. But he obediently accepted Yan Xiaoyi's caress without struggling. Yan Xiaoyi saw his face turning pale from the pain. Xiao Jin didn't cry out in pain, but she herself was the one who started to feel heartache. In her heart, she secretly tested the love she had for Xiao Jin. Her hand changed to hammering his chest as she angrily rebuked, "You said that you fell in love with me at first sight, but because you were afraid of being separated, you didn't dare to be with me. Now let me tell you, I'm not afraid. Not being able to be with you is what I'm most afraid of. Since you like me so much that you want to give up on me, then why do you think that I can't choose to wait for you or follow you to the Heaven Realm and the Huangfu clan because I like you?" Xiao Jin lowered his head. Yan Xiaoyi's slender fingers fiercely poked his chest. "You are the successor of the Huangfu clan. In the future, when you return to the Heaven Realm, you will also become the patriarch of the Huangfu clan. At that time, the Huangfu clan will be in your hands. You can totally come down to the lower realm to find me or pick me up. Why do you think that I can't stand being separated from you?" Xiao Jin was rendered speechless. He also felt that once he was involved in Yan Xiaoyi's matters, his brain would not be able to function normally. If Yan Xiaoyi knew what he was thinking in his heart, she would definitely roll her eyes to express, "Obviously you're the one who's stupid, I'm not going to take the blame for this. Moreover speaking, your second reason is that you're an unfortunate person? How are you unfortunate? Your father's death, that's because his life has come to an end. That's his life, what has it got to do with you? Currently because of you, you're being ostracized by the Huangfu clan. Don't tell me that before you were born, she wasn't ostracized too?" Xiao Jin was stunned as he stared blankly at Yan Xiaoyi. Chapter 1904. Lucky? Was he really his mother's luck? Because you're the only one left. As the successor's mother, you will receive the best care, isn't that so? Yan Xiaoyi raised her hand and brushed past his stunned face. "Moreover, it's because you're around that she can work hard to live on just for you." Her fingers were very gentle. Smoothed out his frowning brows. And smoothed out the knot in his heart. "It's you who prolonged your mother's life and also prolonged my life." When Yan Xiaoyi said the last sentence, her cheeks blushed slightly. Her eyelashes fluttered as she unnaturally shifted her gaze away and coughed lightly as she continued, "So I say, you're not some unlucky person. Otherwise devil classes students wouldn't have today's transformation, and we wouldn't have met Qing Luo." Xiao Jin's murky and complicated heart at this moment suddenly became extremely clear. He seemed to have seen a ray of light through the endless darkness. His heart was suddenly enlightened. "Xiaoyi, thank you." Xiao Jin hugged Yan Xiaoyi fiercely. If it wasn't for Qing Luo's words, he would have woken up. He really didn't know how long he would miss Yan Xiaoyi again. The woman he loved so deeply. How could he bear to push her away time and time again? He was really so silly, so silly. Xiao Jin's large palm suddenly cupped Yan Xiaoyi's face. His jet-black eyes gazed deeply at Yan Xiaoyi, as though he wanted to imprint her face deeply into his heart. "Xiaoyi, in the past, it's all because I'm too silly. My self-righteousness made you sad, made you sad." His fingers, bit by bit, caressed Yan Xiaoyi's face. His gaze was tender, as though water could be squeezed out of it. "I will use my entire life to repay you." His words landed. He had already bent down and kissed her lips. It was different from before when his emotions were unstable, the overbearing kiss. But he didn't conceal his feelings at all, that kind of deep and sincere kiss. As though he wanted to use this kiss to convey all his feelings. For the rest of his life he would accompany Yan Xiaoyi by her side, loving her and not letting go. The future was grasped in his own hands. As long as he was together with Yan Xiaoyi, no matter what accident, he would not be worried or afraid. For Yan Xiaoyi, for their future. He would do everything in his power to protect her. Yan Xiaoyi's eyelashes fluttered as she closed her eyes, enduring the man's gentle kiss. Tears of happiness overflowed from the corners of her eyes. She had finally connected with Xiao Jin. Finally she could openly fall in love with Xiao Jin. They were finally together. Another nothingness in the battle plain. Yiqing Luo raised her brows frivolously as she looked at Diamo Xian with a smile that didn't look like a smile. She didn't say anything. But from her posture, it was obvious that she was telling Diamo Xian, "Whatever things you've hidden from me, you better tell me everything obediently. Be honest and lenient, resist and be strict." Diamo Xian looked at the young lady's expression and sighed helplessly. He knew that if he appeared in front of the Huangfu clan today, he would definitely die. His identity would definitely be suspected by Yiqing Luo. Although this would not affect the relationship between him and Lil Luo, but this feeling of being concealed. Lil Luo, would definitely not like it. Diamo Xian stretched out his arms towards her. The girl was obedient and snuggled into his arms. Her arms encircled his waist as her chin rested on his chest, raising her head to look at him. The crafty look between her brows was obvious. It was still that smile which didn't look like a smile. There was a kind of feeling that if she didn't get the answer she would not give up. Chapter 1905. Yiqing Luo's eyes flashed. No? She had indeed guessed this answer before. Diamo Xian's ability had completely surpassed the standard of Nirvana Realm's cultivators. His existence could be said to have broken the balance of Nirvana Realm. But Diamo Xian rarely made a move. The only few times he made a move were all for her. But if Diamo Xian was really someone from the upper realm, staying in the lower realm for such a long time and being so high profile, wouldn't he be forcefully ordered to return to his own realm by the envoy who maintained the peace of the various realms? Like Xiao Jin, his heaven realm's heir, came down to the lower realm and even knew to hide himself like an ordinary person. Diamo Xian's high profile was something that everyone in the Nirvana realm knew about. To be able to make the heaven realm's imperial elders fearful, and wantonly run amok in the lower realm. What was Diamo Xian's identity? Lil Luo, listen to me. Diamo Xian pinched her chin as his slender fingers caressed her tender lips. Her charming eyes met with his ink-black eyes. Yiqing Luo saw the seriousness in his eyes and a trace of complicated emotions that she couldn't understand. It's not that I'm unwilling to tell you everything about me. On the contrary, I hope that you can understand everything about me. Diamo Xian's fingers were very light as he fiddled with her pink lips, as though he was igniting a fire on her lips. But Yiqing Luo didn't sense any feelings from Diamo Xian at all, and there was a kind of unprecedented seriousness. Her heart trembled slightly, and her long curly eyelashes were also trembling. In the future, I will tell you everything about me clearly, okay? Diamo Xian's fiddling fingers stopped. His gaze was filled with seriousness as he gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo. Indeed, he still couldn't say it out. Yiqing Luo's eyelashes drooped slightly. It would be a lie if she said she wasn't upset. But she also knew that Diamo Xian didn't say it was for her own good. There were too many existences in this different realm which exceeded her knowledge. If he were to pour everything into her mind right now, it would be too late. She probably wouldn't be able to digest it. No matter if he was the Imperial Palace's Diamo Xian or the overlord whom the Heaven Realm's Tian family feared. He was her and only Xian. There was no doubt about this. Since Diamo Xian did not wish to reveal his identity, he definitely had his own considerations. He was worried that she would suffer more than she could handle at her current level. However, her self-adjustment in Diamo Xian's eyes had become, she was heartbroken that he had concealed his identity. Immediately Diamo Xian panicked. In his peach blossom eyes, there was a trace of nervousness. Lil Luo, don't stay silent. His hand cupped her face. His fingertips trembled slightly, carrying a hint of probing. When he realized that Yiqing Luo didn't stop him from touching her, he slowly heaved a sigh of relief as his large palm touched her face even more. Looking at Diamo Xian's anxious expression, Yiqing Luo was about to open her mouth to explain but swallowed it back into her stomach. A trace of craftiness flashed past her long and narrow eyes. The calm expression on her face immediately converged and turned into a look of suppressed anger. Looking at Diamo Xian, her voice trembled slightly. "Diamo Xian, what do you want me to say?" She raised her eyes and her eyes reddened. She pursed her pink lips tightly as she spat out every single word. "Don't tell me you want to hear me say that I know you're not telling me is for my own good? You don't wish for me to suffer any harm and you don't wish for me to be afraid of your identity and leave you?" Star. Chapter 1906. Diamo Xian, who had always used his aura to make others speechless, was stuttering at this moment. Facing Yiqing Luo, he naturally didn't dare to use his so-called aura to suppress her. He could only coax and spoil her, wishing that he could hold her in his palms and love her dearly. What Yiqing Luo said had indeed poked out all the worries in his heart. It wasn't that he couldn't tell Yiqing Luo about his identity. He just didn't wish for Yiqing Luo to be troubled or make any changes because of his identity. What he was most afraid of. It was the last point that Yiqing Luo mentioned. She would be afraid of his identity and leave him. Of course, he believed that Yiqing Luo wouldn't be afraid of him because of his identity. But she would leave him. This wasn't to say that Yiqing Luo was someone who would escape when she met with danger. But he understood Yiqing Luo's character too well. If Yiqing Luo knew his identity, she would definitely force herself to become stronger. She would leave him, and when she had grown to a level that was compatible with him, then she would appear again. Diamo Xian couldn't stand a day without Yiqing Luo. But when he saw Yiqing Luo's eyes turning red, staring at him with a reproachful gaze, Diamo Xian's heart was throbbing in pain. This was the first time he had such an uneasy feeling. This was the first time he had such a feeling of worry. "Lil Luo or I don't mean it in that way. If you want to know, A burst of laughter interrupted Diamo Xian's anxious voice. He was stunned as he stopped his voice, looking at Yiqing Luo's smiling face. The young lady's tensed face had softened at this moment. Her curved eyes, narrow and devilish, sparkling with a dazzling luster. She was smiling, bright and gorgeous, a beauty that could topple a city. Diamo Xian knew that he had been teased by Yiqing Luo again. Yiqing Luo laughed as she laid in his arms. "Idiot, those words were indeed what I wanted to say." "What words?" Diamo Xian's brows creased slightly as he hadn't reacted in time. His reaction made Yiqing Luo laugh even more joyfully. "I know the current me not knowing your identity is much safer, and I won't let my imagination run wild because of this." She paused for a moment and her arms wrapped around his neck as she beamed and said, "It doesn't matter if you don't say it. You just have to remember one sentence: no matter who you are my Yiqing Luo's man, so I will absolutely not leave you." Diamo Xian knew her. How could she not see through Diamo Xian's hidden worries? Since she had decided to be with Diamo Xian, she absolutely did not want any negative emotions or worries to appear between the two of them. She would never leave Diamo Xian, no matter when. "Lil Luo er." The young lady's sonorous and forceful words, each and every word, struck heavily on Diamo Xian's heart. The worry he had been feeling all this time vanished in an instant. He tightened his arms around the girl in his embrace. "But Xian, when I am strong enough, you must personally tell me everything about yourself." Yiqing Luo's brows rose overbearingly as she looked at his eyes seriously. Diamo Xian's eyes were filled with smiles as he spat out a word, "All right. I still want to go to the place where you grew up, to understand everything about you." Her identity as a transmigrator, as well as the secret of the 21st century where she grew up, had already been told to him. By then she wanted Diamo Xian to tell her everything, just like how she told him everything about herself today. Star. Chapter 1907. Looking at the young lady's beautiful face, it was filled with a complacent and overbearing expression. Diamo Xian's heart seemed to have been filled by her smile. The lines on his face were so gentle that there was no trace of harshness or coldness. It was filled with pampering and love towards the young lady. He nodded and his voice was extremely gentle. "All right. No matter if it was this lifetime or the next lifetime, he would never let go of her. She would belong to him forever and ever. So, until then, he would let Yiqing Luo understand everything about him in detail, including on the bed." After getting Diamo Xian's reply, Yiqing Luo leaned towards his face and planted a big fragrant kiss. Following that, she opened her arms and hugged his muscular body, acting coquettishly in his arms. "Your obedient, I'll forgive you for hiding it from me now. She pressed her face against his hard pecs again. She mumbled a few words indistinctly. After all, before this, I had also concealed my identity as a transmigrated girl. If it wasn't for the fact that I had entered the godless array, I don't know how long I would have to hide it. Same to you. The young lady's coquettish action made Diamo Xian's mood improve greatly. He rubbed the young lady's hair, his heart filled with tenderness. This was the lady whom he had his eyes on. Indeed, like what Yi Qingluo had guessed, approximately 1 hour later, large batches of monsters were born on the battle plain. The minute those monsters appeared, they started to tangle with the surrounding monsters. There were even quite a number of monsters, who directly found the 4 humans who were still on the battle plain. 2 pairs of passionate lovers lost the place to talk about love. After the 4 of them killed the monsters which were blocking their way, they gathered together again. Yi Qingluo looked at Yan Xiaoyi and Xiao Jin's tightly intertwined hands, as she gave an ambiguous smile. Yan Xiaoyi was so shy that her face turned crimson red, as she leaned her head towards Xiao Jin's shoulder. Xiao Jin chuckled as he touched the back of his head with a face full of smiles. Qingluo, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. If it wasn't for you, I would definitely have done more wrong things. Yi Qingluo smiled with her eyes curved. I won't. Xiao Jin didn't react to Yi Qingluo's words. Even if I didn't remind you, you wouldn't do anything stupid. Yi Qingluo revealed her pearly white teeth as she clenched her fists so hard that a cracking sound could be heard. Because I will directly wake you up. Xiao Jin's neck shrunk back as he recalled that when Elder Jin was still around, Yi Qingluo had once said that she wanted to give him a good thrashing, and he instantly became terrified. I've completely woken up now. This thrashing. I don't need to take it, right? That's hard to say. Yi Qingluo smiled insincerely as her eyes curved. Xiao Jin's face darkened, looking like he was furious but did not dare to speak. On the contrary, it was Yan Xiaoyi who felt heartache as she hurriedly pulled Xiao Jin behind her and said with a red face, All right, Qingluo, don't bully that silly goose. He's originally stupid, and after being bullied by you, he'll become even more stupid. Yi Qingluo couldn't help but teased, Tiske, you haven't even married yet and you're already speaking up for Jin Zi. A married sister is like water that has been splashed out, Qingluo. Yan Xiaoyi's cheeks turned even redder as she stared at Yi Qingluo resentfully. This adorable look made Yi Qingluo laugh even more happily. She was indeed a young lady in love. Her every action revealed a charming and adorable young lady's look. Alright, stop fooling around. Diamo Xian held Yi Qingluo in a timely manner. If you continue fooling around, the surrounding monsters will all focus their attention on you. Yi Qingluo's slender brows rose slightly as she surveyed the surroundings. As expected, she discovered that the thousands of monsters that had just been born were all looking towards their direction. Star. Chapter 1908. Yi Qingluo's bright eyes flashed as her face revealed a scared expression as she threw herself into Diamo Xian's arms. Oh my, so scary, the pair of love-struck couples. The fake acting made Yan Xiaoyi's lips twitched uncontrollably. Even showing off their affection wasn't like this, right? Before today she had been suppressing the feeling of liking Xiao Jin, suppressing the fact that after being abused by Xiao Jin, she still had to eat Yi Qingluo and Diamo Xian's various fancy dog food. Was it easy for her? Today she finally managed to pull Xiao Jin along to show off in front of Yi Qingluo. Yi Qingluo just retaliated like this? Can't we just play around happily? Could they still be sisters happily? Yan Xiaoyi gritted her teeth in anger. But unfortunately, Diamo Xian was very cooperative as he stretched out his hand to hug Yi Qingluo and even patted her back gently. Don't be afraid, I'm here. A certain love-struck couple was speechless. Could they also use dog food to retaliate? The thousands of monsters around them howled in unison. Diamo Xian narrowed his peach blossom eyes as he swept his sleeves slightly. A burst of powerful profound energy covered the sky and earth as it enveloped the entire empty space. In an instant, the empty space regained its tranquility. Those thousands of monsters seemed as though they had never appeared before. Not even a single speck of ashes could be seen. A certain love-struck couple was dumbstruck. Yi Qingluo's lips curled as she circled around the man's neck and planted a kiss on his face. God of protection is the best, awesome, a certain love-struck couple. Damn it. They would stop showing off their affection in future, alright? The dog food and whatnot would be taken care of by the two of you, alright? Acting cute and showing off dog food was enough. Yi Qingluo restrained her actions as she looked at Diamo Xian seriously. Ah Xian, let's break the array. We've disappeared for a few days and that bunch of kids in devil class are probably going crazy from anxiety. Dmo Xian rubbed her hair as his expression was calm. Don't worry, even if we didn't make a move to break the array, that person should be letting us out. That person? Yi Qing Luo raised her eyes in puzzlement. You're talking about Xuanhuan? No, it should be Godless Island's young master? Dmo Xian only smiled and didn't answer Yi Qing Luo's question. Yi Qing Luo automatically treated that person as the fake Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan spent a lot of effort to lure them into the soulless formation. How could he let them out so easily? She could tell that Xuanhuan was pretending to be Xuanhuan, using the identity of Yan Xiaoyi's fiancé to get close to her and the devil class. Their goal was definitely not simple. He had his ambitions. If he didn't get what he wanted, Xuanhuan would not give up so easily. Would he really take the initiative to let them leave the soulless formation? Why don't we make a move first to test the waters? Dmo Xian looked at the young lady's face that was deep in thought as his thin lips curved upwards. As soon as he finished speaking, his sleeves fluttered and a shimmering purple light shot out. Bang! Boom! A few deafening explosions reverberated in the void. All of a sudden, the purple light flashed across the pitch-black sky like a bolt of lightning. The airflow was monstrous, as though the air in this plane was affected by this ray of profound light. They felt a little suffocated. Immediately following that, the battle plane shook violently. In the pitch-black void, it seemed as though a huge hole had been torn open. Like a malevolent bloody mouth, it opened its mouth wide, revealing its sharp teeth. Star. Chapter 1909. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, that tear opened wider and wider. The entire battle plane seemed as though it was about to be torn apart, squeezing into other planes. In a split second, the tear had already opened up to a width of about 5 meters. Not only Yan Xiaoyi and Xiao Jin were stunned. Yi Qing Luo herself was also stunned. She looked at that tear in disbelief as she asked in a daze, Ah Xian, what is that? This plane, is it really going to collapse? Dmo Xian replied calmly, aren't you in a hurry to get out? This is the way to force him to open the entrance of the godless array. Yi Qing Luo blinked her eyes, feeling a little lost. Xiao Jin explained by the side, I've once read about the godless array in Huangfu family's books. It said that the godless array is able to connect to all the planes in the world, and is a forbidden array which is not accepted by the world. Once one of the planes merges with another plane, it would break the balance between the various planes. The person who unleashed the array will be punished by the heavenly way, dying without a burial ground, never to be reincarnated. Yi Qing Luo understood as she raised her brows and smiled, which means to say, Ah Xian is forcefully tearing the battle plane apart now. Once the planes near the battle plane merges with the battle plane, when the battle plane's monsters start to reproduce again, this group of monsters will also affect the nearby planes, causing chaos. At this time, the Xuanhuan, who unleashed the array, will be punished by the heavenly way. Xiao Jin nodded, that's what I mean. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but laughed out, Ah Xian, your method is really simple and crude, but I like it. Xuanhuan dared to scheme against her. Then he would have to bear the consequences of their retaliation. Sure enough, when the tear gradually opened to about a dozen meters or so, Yi Xiwen's eyes widened. Xuanhuan finally couldn't bear the fear of being punished by the heavenly way. An intense ray of light shot down from the top of the battle plane. Following that, they saw that elegant young man standing at the center of the light, looking at them with a gloomy face. Stop! All of you stop right now. Xuanhuan was no longer as gentle as before. His expression was ferocious as he pointed at them agitatedly and roared, This is a formation that I created. If you dare to touch this formation, I will kill all of you in this formation. At this moment he still wanted to scare Yi Qing Luo and the others. Yi Qing Luo raised her head and looked at the ashen-faced man with a thin layer of sweat on his forehead. She leaned lazily in Dmo Xian's arms and smiled charmingly, Really? Why don't we try and see who dies first? Yi Qing Luo. Xuanhuan gritted his teeth and roared. Yi Qing Luo picked her ears as her brows raised frivolously, Are you relying on sound to make us die in the array? Puchi, Yan Xiaoyi and Xiao Jin laughed out loud. Xuanhuan's face was ashen. He could not imagine that his invincible godly array was actually unable to tame Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian. The so-called heart attack formation I had not only failed to take down Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian, On the contrary, it was taken down by Yiqing Luo. What's more, his father had already sent news over, ordering him to immediately open up the entrance of the array and let Yiqing Luo out safely. His father already knew about the matter of him using Godless Island's forbidden arts for himself. And his plan for the array had also failed. Not only had it failed, he had even offended the imperial palace, an overlord whom even his father was wary of. Chapter 1910. His father would never let him off. Everything he had was ruined, he had painstakingly planned for such a long time. He had even tried to get close to that bunch of trash in devil class. In the end it had ended up in such a state. How could he take it lying down? The ferocious face of Xianxia was extremely terrifying. He gritted his teeth and glared at the huge hole that had been torn open. He said sternly, "Do you think that you can force me to let you out by using such a method? Don't even think about it." "Young master." Wuxia's voice was heard faintly, "Island master's orders cannot be violated. If you continue to wait, you will be punished by the heavens." "Shut up." Xianxia berated, "Even if I die, I will drag them along with me." Using the godless array without permission had already violated the godless island's rules. Even if he really opened up the entrance and let Yiqing Luo and the rest out, his father would never let him off so easily. In any case, everything that he had been pursuing had been destroyed. It was completely destroyed. Death was all that awaited him. Then he would bring these people along with him to hell. "Young master, are you crazy?" When Wuxia heard his young master's crazy words, he immediately rushed up and hugged Xianxia's waist. "How could the island master let you die? You are the island master's favorite young master. If you die, are you going to hand over the position of young master to someone else?" Wuxia's words made Xianxia's struggling body suddenly stiffen. His eyes widened, filled with panic. He didn't want to. How could he bear to hand over the position of young master to someone else? In order to become the island master of Godless Island, he didn't hesitate to use up his own lifespan to forcibly display the godless array. How could he be willing to give it up to those sanctimonious hypocrites? Just as Xianxia and Wuxia were arguing endlessly, suddenly there was a vibration from that opening. Suddenly he saw a figure walk in from the entrance. Yiqing Luo saw that person and smiled with raised brows. "Yu Ming, you're just in time. Are you waiting for the right time?" Yu Ming slowly walked to Yiqing Luo's side with a calm expression. Facing Yiqing Luo's ridicule, there was no reaction. He lowered his head, feeling depressed. No one knew if he was thinking or if he was annoyed that the search missile couldn't find what he wanted. It was because of Netherwoman's attitude that he was bitterly disappointed. These were not within the boundaries of Yiqing Luo's concern. Since he didn't say, Yiqing Luo couldn't be bothered. Of course, the prerequisite was that he wouldn't have any ideas about her again. This episode made Xianxia realize the severity of the situation. Wuxia was right. Even if he violated the rules of the Godless Island, as long as he was still the young master of the Godless Island, his father would not punish him severely. If he was really punished by the heavenly Tao because of the godless array, he would never be able to reincarnate. He would really lose more than he gained. Especially when he saw that someone had entered the battle plane through the tear. Xianxia completely panicked. In the blink of an eye, the beam of light floating in the void covered the tear in the void. The entrance appeared before everyone's eyes. Diamo Xian seemed to be asking for credit as he lowered his head and stuck close to her ear as he whispered, "The entrance is out." Yiqing Luo decisively smoothed his hair and kissed his face. "My guardian god is the best." Diamo Xian was satisfied. The few of them slowly stepped out of that beam of light. It was as if they had entered the godless array for a tour, taking a stroll around. The group of people were unscathed. Just like that, he calmly walked past Xianxia. Chapter 1911. At the same time, the battle plane, which had already cracked open for nearly 20 meters, was gradually closing up. Following that, the godless array's entrance light was also completely shut at this moment. Xianxia's entire body turned soft as he lay paralyzed on the ground. His eyes stared deadly at Yiqing Luo. Wuxia immediately protected Xianxia with a stern expression. However, after Yiqing Luo and the rest walked out, they didn't even give them half a glance as they directly walked past them and slowly walked out of the secret room. Just as they were nearing the secret room's exit, Diamo Xian halted his footsteps as he glanced sideways. That pair of brilliant peach blossom eyes revealed a piercingly cold glint. Wuxia felt a chill running down his spine as his legs turned soft as he half knelt onto the ground. "Convey to your island lord regarding today's matter, I will personally pay a visit to discuss with him in detail." Saying that, he hugged the young lady in his arms tightly as he walked out of the secret room without turning back, leaving behind two people who were half kneeling on the ground as they broke out in cold sweat. The place where Yiqing Luo and the rest were at was exactly the place where they entered the array. Yiqing Luo had already drawn out the map of the treasure-gathering pavilion in her mind. After a moment, she brought the few of them out of the secret room and returned to the extremely remote sundry room in the treasure-gathering pavilion. There were usually very few people who passed by the sundry room. However, when the few of them just came out from the sundry room, coincidentally, a team of 10 people who were dressed in the guard's uniform walked towards them. When that guard saw Yiqing Luo, his face instantly revealed an overjoyed expression as he shouted at the top of his voice, "Found it, found it! Madame Yiqing Luo has found it!" This howl was heard by Yiqing Luo acutely. Numerous footsteps, blotting out the sky and covering the earth as they surged towards their direction. Momentarily, the entire ground was filled with dust as it floated along with the wind. Immediately following that, she saw a huge wave of people charging towards them in an imposing manner. Weren't the siblings Shirua Yu and Shirua Shi right at the front? Following closely behind was Tong Ziqing, Long Yunzhan and the rest. What situation was this? Yiqing Luo and the rest had a dazed expression. Shirua Shi had already pounced into Yiqing Luo's arms as she hugged her tightly. "Sister! You're finally back. Boo-hoo, I thought I lost you." Shirua Shi sounded like she was about to cry. Her tearful and hazy appearance was very lovable. Yiqing Luo immediately stretched out her fingers and brushed away the tears on Shirua Shi's face. "What's wrong?" As he spoke, Shiruoyu, Long Yunzhan, and the others stepped forward. Their gazes started to size up Yiqing Luo. He heaved a sigh of relief after confirming that she had no external injuries. Shiruoyu's face was filled with guilt. "It's all because I didn't manage the treasure-gathering pavilion well that you guys encountered danger. You've been missing for almost 3 days." Long Yunzhan's cold voice could not hide the slight tremble in it. Tong Ziqing's usually cold and elegant face couldn't help but tear up. "Where did you guys go? We've been looking for you for 3 days. Our brothers are dying of anxiety." Behind her, 10 over Devil classes students all had red eyes as they looked at Yiqing Luo. He was clearly happily participating in the auction at the Jubao Pavilion. He had not expected that when the guests arrived, they saw Yin Xiaoyi being kidnapped, and following that, Xiao Jin had disappeared. Following that, there was news of Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian disappearing from the Jubao Pavilion. They instantly got anxious. Yin Xiaoyi was kidnapped in front of the guests. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian must have gone to save Yin Xiaoyi. Chapter 1912. The siblings Shirua Yu and Shirua Shi blamed themselves endlessly. They increased the number of guards to search for Yiqing Luo and the others. Devil classes students also joined the search team. Finally, found them. Yiqing Luo gently touched Shirua Shi's head. Shirua Shi sniffled and squirmed out of Yiqing Luo's arms, pouncing into her own brother's arms. She knew that she wasn't the only one who was worried about Yiqing Luo. Now that she had confirmed her sister's safety, she was assured. Yiqing Luo looked at Shirua Shi's actions as she laughed helplessly. This lass was really so obedient that it made one dote on her. She smiled gently, raised her eyes, and fixed her gaze in front of her. In front of her were faces filled with worry. Her charming eyes blinked as it sparkled with heartache and touched. Her eyelashes were also wet as she tried her best to curl her lips, blossoming into a bright smile as she stretched out her hand towards them. Brothers were back. Her clear and sweet voice was filled with deep emotion. That pair of crystal-bright eyes, faintly rippled with tears. Devil classes students finally couldn't hold it in. They swarmed forward as they surrounded Yiqing Luo and the others in groups. They were worried for Yiqing Luo and the others for 2 days. They were finally assured. Luckily everyone was fine. Long Yunzhan stood by the side, his azure blue eyes, looking at the excited crowd. His brows couldn't help but reveal a faint smile. After the laughter, someone reacted, "Right, we have to inform the other brothers immediately. They are still trying to find out about your news in South Continent." That person was preparing to leave anxiously when he was stopped by Shirua Yu. "Something happened to you in Treasure Gathering Pavilion. As one of the representatives of Treasure Gathering Pavilion, I should bear all the responsibility. Tonight I will set up a banquet at Drifting Fragrance Restaurant. Take it as my apology to Devil Class's students. That Devil Class student looked towards Yiqing Luo. On seeing Yiqing Luo nodding, he swiftly scuttled out of treasure-gathering pavilion. The entire storeroom started to bustle with noise and excitement. Devil Class's students were chattering incessantly, asking where Yiqing Luo had been these 2 days. Just as they were in the midst of the joyous noise, suddenly a surprised voice was heard, "Xiao Yi! Xiao Yi!" Everyone was startled and looked in the direction of the voice. Yin Xiao Yi falls into Qiao Jin's arms. Under the sunlight, her delicate face was strangely pale, like a fragile doll. What's going on? Yiqing Luo frowned as she pushed the crowd aside and walked over. Qiao Jin hugged Yin Xiao Yi helplessly, his face pale. I don't know. She just suddenly. Let me take a look first. Baiming Lulu squeezed through the crowd and immediately took Yin Xiao Yi's pulse. After checking his pulse for a long time, Baiming Lulu's face sank and became extremely ugly. Qiao Jin nervously tightened his arms. What's going on? Is Xiao Yi alright? She was poisoned. Baiming Lulu's expression was grave as she released Yiqing Luo's hand and stood up. This poison is too complicated, I have no way to cure it. You can't do anything? Lulu, you're the descendant of a divine doctor family, you can't have no way. Qing Luo. Qiao Jin's pupils constricted, and when he heard Baiming Lulu's words, his expression instantly turned ugly, as though he had lost everything. He instinctively sought help from Yiqing Luo. As long as Yiqing Luo was around, she would absolutely not let anything happen to Yin Xiao Yi. Jinzi, calm down, nothing will happen to Xiao Yi. Yiqing Luo comforted him. Following that, she looked towards the other brothers. Is Ghost Doctor Master still in South Continent? Star. Chapter 1913. The students were also shocked by Yin Xiao Yi's sudden collapse. Tong Ziqing was the first to react. I'll go to the sky room to look for Lord Ghost Doctor. I'll go. Yiqing Luo took a look at Yin Xiao Yi's pale face and suddenly recalled the blood which she had come into contact with before she entered the godless array. The blood was also tainted with the poison of the godless island. It was likely that Yin Xiao Yi had already been poisoned since then. It was just that he was afraid that Qiao Jin would be worried, so he suppressed it and did not reveal it. And when she rushed to the battle dimension, she was wholeheartedly thinking about solving their relationship problems, so she didn't notice Yin Xiao Yi's physical problems. The poison that Yin Xiao Yi was inflicted with should be the ultimate poison of Godless Island. Moreover, the poison in Yin Xiao Yi's body and the poison in Qiao Jin's body were on a completely different level. The 100 dispelling pill that she had refined had cured the poison in Qiao Jin's body, but had not been able to clear the poison in Yin Xiao Yi's body. Looks like this poison can only be cured by Master Ghost Doctor. Yiqing Luo turned her head toward Shi Ruoyu. Ruoyu, can I trouble you to prepare a room for Xiao Yi? I'll bring Master Ghost Doctor over immediately. As she finished speaking, she summoned Shiju and leaped onto Shiju's back before shouting, Let's go! Shiju turned into a black afterimage, vanishing before everyone's eyes. Shiju's speed was extremely fast. In just a short moment he had already arrived at the first room. Yiqing Luo's speed was much faster than the Devil Class students who had rushed back to report. And because of this, the few Devil Class students who were surrounding the Sky Room No. 1, as well as the students and elders from the various academies, all saw a huge Black Panther beast descending from the sky. The woman in red was sitting on the leopard. They were all shocked. These 2 days Yin Xiao Yi had been kidnapped at Jubao Pavilion, and Qiao Jin had disappeared soon after. After that, Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian went searching for Yin Xiao Yi, but they didn't manage to catch a glimpse of them. Almost the entire South Billow continent was turning upside down in search of them. Madame Qing Luo. It's Madame Qing Luo. The students of the Devil Class stepped forward to welcome them. Before he could express his joy, he heard Yiqing Luo asking anxiously, Where's Ghost Doctor Master? Is Madame Qing Luo hurt? Lord Ghost Doctor is refining medicine in the medicine refining room. Madame Qing Luo, you. Before they could finish their words, suddenly, a hurricane appeared in front of him, blowing sand into his face. They hurriedly raised their arms to cover their faces. But when the hurricane subsided, there was no sign of Yiqing Luo at all. The students were all stunned as they recalled Yiqing Luo's earlier question. Could it be that someone was injured? Continue treating the Ghost Doctor? On the other side, Yiqing Luo hurriedly rushed towards the main courtyard's alchemy room. Outside the alchemy room, there were more than 30 alchemy apprentices in cyan robes. The vice principal was standing at the side, talking to a gloomy-looking old man about something. It seemed like they were having a quarrel. The huge black leopard attracted everyone's attention. Vice President's gaze fell from the leopard beast onto Yiqing Luo. His eyes were filled with joy as he said, "Little Luo, you're finally back." Yiqing Luo leapt down from Xian's back as she took quick steps towards Vice President, stopping him from continuing with the conventional greetings. "Vice President, where's my master? I need to talk to him about something urgent." Before the Vice President could say anything, the gloomy-looking old man by the side gave her an extremely disdainful look. "You're that ghost doctor's disciple? Your aptitude isn't that great. I thought this so-called ghost doctor's foresight was really good." That weird tone made Yiqing Luo's slender brows suddenly creased. Chapter 1914. Vice President saw the change in Yiqing Luo's expression and immediately laughed dryly as he pulled the elderly man away. Following that, he put on a smile as he looked at Yiqing Luo. "Ghost Doctor is in the pill refining room and has already been here for an entire day." Yiqing Luo nodded her head and directly walked towards the direction of the pill refining room. The Vice Dean immediately stopped her. "Girl, even though you're the Ghost Doctor's disciple, but before the Ghost Doctor went in, he specifically warned us that no one is allowed to go in and disturb him while he's refining pills." He paused and revealed a troubled look. "You should also know your master's personality." "I know." Yiqing Luo pushed away the Vice President's hand. "Xiaoyi is injured." Vice President was stunned as he recalled that the reason why Yiqing Luo had disappeared for the past 2 days was to look for the kidnapped Yan Xiaoyi. He retracted his hand and didn't stop her. "Don't think that just because you're that ghost doctor's disciple, you can enter the medicine refining room. That ghost doctor style is really big. In someone else's territory, she dares to chase away the owner and forcibly occupy the medicine refining room. This is the first time I've seen such a shameless medicine master." The old man next to him spoke in a strange tone. His face was full of contempt and disdain. Yiqing Luo's footsteps paused. She glanced sideways at the old man coldly and the corners of her lips curled into a cold smile. An apothecary at the level of a medicine ancestor? When the old man heard this, a smug look appeared on his face. "You've heard of this old man's name?" "That's right, I am the only master apothecary at the medicine grandmaster level in the headquarters. You can call me Master Yao Lao." Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly as her eyes were filled with ridicule. "What a coincidence, my master is also an elder-level alchemist." Yao Lao was slightly stunned, not understanding the meaning of Yiqing Luo's words. The next moment Yiqing Luo's chilly voice cleared his doubts. "Unfortunately, in a situation where both of us are at the same level, you are not even comparable to a single finger of my master. To think that you have the title of a medicinal grandmaster, it's just an empty shell." Leaving this sentence behind, Yiqing Luo headed towards the direction of the pill refining room without even turning her head back. No matter how Yao Lao cursed at her from behind, Yiqing Luo couldn't be bothered with him. He didn't know how long the poison in Xiaoyi's body would last. She did not have the time to waste with Yao Lao here. If it wasn't for Yao Lao constantly insulting his master ghost doctor, she didn't even want to pay attention to it. Yao Lao took some time before he understood the meaning behind Yiqing Luo's words. His old face instantly turned steely green as he clenched his teeth and rolled up his sleeves, wanting to settle the score with Yiqing Luo. Vice President stopped Yao Lao, but he had no choice but to admit Yiqing Luo's words. They were both medicine grandmasters. However, the ghost doctor's name had spread far and wide. She was even called the Ghost Hand Doctor. It could be said that if it wasn't for the fact that Yiqing Luo had mentioned that Ghost Doctor was merely an elder level, he probably thought that the Ghost Doctor was either a medicine emperor or a medicine immortal. Looking at the medicine faction's alchemists, whom they had always been proud of, their faces were twisted with jealousy. The Vice President sighed helplessly. Yiqing Luo walked directly into the pill refining room without any restraint. The surrounding alchemists looked at each other in dismay, but due to Yiqing Luo's imposing manner, they didn't dare to stop her. The Ghost Doctor stayed in the medicine refining room for a day. At least 3 people had been forcefully thrown out by the Ghost Doctor. This young lady actually dared to barge in? The junior alchemists were all guessing when Yiqing Luo would be thrown out by that emotionally unstable Ghost Doctor. The junior alchemists specially stood on the left and right sides, leaving an empty space in front of the door. But after waiting for some time, that tightly shut door didn't open at all. Chapter 1915. The pill refinement room was filled with smoke. A huge cauldron floated in midair, and a raging fire burned below it. A white-robed figure with disheveled hair stood under the cauldron. Yiqing Luo took a look at the burning cauldron as she pursed her pink lips. "Ghost Doctor Master." The ghost doctor didn't seem to hear her voice and didn't turn around. At this time, the concoction of the elixir had already reached the latter part. With the ghost doctor's abilities, there was no need for her to guard the cauldron at all times. Ghost Doctor ignored her, and Yiqing Luo knew that he was annoyed with her. She had only just recovered, yet she had already put herself in danger. Yiqing Luo's tone softened as she slowly walked to Ghost Doctor's side, raising her head together with him as she looked at the cultivation furnace. "Master Ghost Doctor, the people from Godless Island have attacked me." Yiqing Luo explained the reason for her disappearance for 2 days. The Ghost Doctor's body stiffened. Yiqing Luo stood very close to him and could feel the change in Ghost Doctor's breathing. He heard her voice. Yiqing Luo's hand slowly hugged his arm as her voice was a little soft. "Ghost Doctor Master, I've been with Xian for the past 2 days, not leaving him by even half a step. I also didn't rely on the fact that you've treated all my injuries, to act recklessly and recklessly." The Ghost Doctor's body stiffened, as though he was extremely unnatural and not used to Yiqing Luo's nearness. "Master Ghost Doctor, look at how cute and adorable I am trying to please you. Can you help me please?" Yiqing Luo hugged Ghost Doctor's arm and started shaking it. The Ghost Doctor truly doted on her. She also believed that the Ghost Doctor would not ignore the students of Devil class. Otherwise, with the Ghost Doctor's personality, he would have long wished to return to the West Continent, return to his own medicine refining room, and live his life of refining medicine. How could he possibly remain on the South Waves continent? He stayed behind because he wasn't sure if the missing Yiqing Luo and the others had met with any danger. When Yiqing Luo and the others returned, they could treat them at the first instance. Yiqing Luo had long seen through Ghost Doctor's cold on the outside but warm on the inside. As expected, towards Yiqing Luo's act of acting cute, Ghost Doctor ultimately couldn't stand it. Under Yiqing Luo's reluctance, she was dragged out of the pill refining room. The door opened. Plop plop plop, sounds could be heard. The 30 or so young alchemists were lying on the ground. On seeing that it wasn't only Yiqing Luo who walked out, Ghost Doctor was with her. The junior medicine masters were so scared that they trembled and knelt on the ground. Lord Ghost Doctor." They had thought that eavesdropping and peeking at the Ghost Doctor refining medicine would definitely anger the Ghost Doctor, who had a violent temper and would throw people out of the refining room at the slightest provocation. In the past, when they peeped at Yao Lao refining medicine, they would be punished by Yao Lao when they were discovered. However, the Ghost Doctor didn't even look at them. He walked straight past them and into the front yard. Just as the junior apothecaries were feeling extremely perturbed, they saw the beautiful girl beside the Ghost Doctor reveal a devastatingly beautiful smile at them. "There are still pills refined by my master in the medicine refinement room. Take a good look. Once the refinement is successful, these pills will be a gift from my master to you young alchemists." After saying that, he turned his head and bade farewell to the Vice Dean, then pulled the Ghost Doctor onto Shiju's back and swaggered off. The eyes of the young alchemists lit up. A gift from the Ghost Doctor? Not only did the Ghost Doctor not punish them, he even gave them a gift? The junior apothecaries flocked as they rushed into the pill refining room. Chapter 1916. Yao Lao's undignified look made Vice President frown slightly. Yao Lao even rolled up his sleeves and was about to rush into the pill refining room to chase those junior alchemists out. Vice President had no choice but to stop Yao Lao's extreme actions. How could he not tell that Yiqing Luo was intentionally pulling aggro for Yao Lao? Yao Lao was the only grandmaster in the main courtyard's pill refining room. These junior alchemists were under his control. Yiqing Luo's actions earlier had completely succeeded in making those junior alchemists extremely dissatisfied with Yao Lao. If Yao Lao were to go in and chase them out at this moment, and stop them from taking Ghost Doctor's gift, it would probably cause those young junior alchemists to have a strong backlash. By then, Yao Lao would really lose the hearts of those junior alchemists. However, Vice President couldn't blame Yiqing Luo for doing this. After all, Yao Lao's actions today indeed didn't seem like something a Grandmaster Alchemist should do. He sighed softly and tried to persuade Yao Lao in every possible way before he managed to persuade him. Yiqing Luo was on Shiju's back as she explained Yan Xiaoyi's current symptoms and her guess towards the poison. Hence, when they reached Treasure Gathering Pavilion, Ghost Doctor went directly to Yan Xiaoyi's room to take her pulse. Luckily, after Yan Xiaoyi was poisoned, she had swallowed Yi Qing Luo's 100 dispelling pill, which suppressed a portion of the poison. Following that, a portion of the poison was removed by a mysterious force. Now the remaining poison in Yan Xiaoyi's body wasn't much. Mentioning that mysterious force, Yi Qing Luo subconsciously took a look at Xiao Jin. The force which was able to remove a portion of the poison should be that golden ray which was brought out when Xiao Jin released his golden eyes energy. Moreover, they were now in Treasure Gathering Pavilion. What kind of place was Treasure Gathering Pavilion? They had all kinds of rare and precious medicinal herbs. With Ghost Doctor's help, there were all kinds of medicinal herbs. The poison in Yan Xiaoyi's body wasn't considered as serious. Hearing this news, everyone in Devil class heaved a sigh of relief as their suspenseful hearts were all put down. Taking a look at Ghost Doctor, who was performing acupuncture, Yi Qing Luo stood up and quietly dispersed the surrounding students. 50 over people left the room. Yi Qing Luo took a look at Ruoyu and smiled lightly. Tonight Ruoyu will be booking a banquet at Floating Fragrance Restaurant, everyone don't forget. The Ghost Doctor had personally said that Yan Xiaoyi was fine. Yi Qing Luo also didn't wish for all the students to be like her, constantly tensed up in emotions. These 2 days the 4 of them had gone missing, and then they were busy taking care of Yan Xiaoyi. It was time to relax. Sure enough, when he heard that there was a feast to eat tonight, he was startled. The eyes of the young students sparkled with excitement. Yi Qing Luo asked them to go down first to tidy herself up. Piao Xiang Restaurant was the largest restaurant in Gufeng City. If they wanted to book a restaurant for a meal, even if they didn't have to be extravagant, they had to at least be dressed neatly. The students cheered and dispersed to prepare to bathe, change their clothes and wait for the feast. Yi Qing Luo's charming eyes were filled with smiles as she sent the students off with her eyes before she looked at Ruoyu with a light smile. Ruoyu, I have something to discuss with you, is it convenient? Ruoyu seemed to have guessed that Yi Qing Luo would look for him for a private talk as he nodded slightly. I've already prepared the pantry, you can go over anytime. Yi Qing Luo smiled as she held Dmo Xian's hand and followed behind Ruoyu, heading towards the direction of the tea room. Yi Qing Luo looked at the surroundings as she suppressed her voice. Has Yu Ming left? Ever since they came out from the sundry room, Yu Ming had automatically disappeared. Yi Qing Luo only agreed to bring him back to Nirvana Realm. As for what Yu Ming wanted to do after that, Yi Qing Luo didn't have the mood to bother. Only Yu Ming had left silently. Could it be that he was plotting something in the dark? Chapter 1917. Dmo Xian hugged her tightly and saw the worry on her face as he consoled her calmly. He won't be able to stir up any big waves, moreover. Pausing for a moment, Dmo Xian seemed to be organizing his words. After some time he opened his mouth. He is a heartbroken person. Perhaps not long later he will come back and look for you. Yi Qing Luo recalled the scene of Yu Ming and Yu Nu's conversation in the mirror. Indeed, it was heartbreaking. With Dmo Xian's words, she didn't think any further as her vision fell onto Ruoyu, who was leading the way. The 3 of them went to the pantry. The 2 of them sat down and Ruoyu sat opposite them. I won't beat around the bush. Ruoyu, can you tell me which powerhouse is the mysterious powerhouse behind Treasure Gathering Pavilion? Yi Qing Luo asked directly. No matter how tactful she was. Based on Ruoyu's intelligence, he must have guessed that she would ask this question. Indeed, Ruoyu's face didn't reveal any astonished expression, as though it was within his expectations. His handsome face revealed a tinge of guilt. As the eldest young master of the Shi family, I can't divulge any secrets of Treasure Gathering Pavilion. Yi Qing Luo was already mentally prepared for this. After all, Treasure Gathering Pavilion was the #1 auction house in the South Continent. As the Shi family's powerhouse on the surface, Shi family could rest assured to hand over the auction house's matters to a 17 or 18-year-old Ruoyu to handle. This was enough to prove Ruoyu's ability and means. Ruoyu wasn't that kind of hot-blooded youngster. He wouldn't do anything for his brothers or for the sake of friendship. Naturally, he wouldn't reveal the mysterious powerhouse behind Treasure Gathering Pavilion. As for the powerhouse behind Treasure Gathering Pavilion, Yi Qing Luo already had an answer in her heart. But she wanted to confirm one last time. After all, this concerned her and her brother's safety. Looking at Yi Qing Luo's worried expression, Ruoyu clenched his fists and continued, but, as brothers I can give you some simple hints. Yi Qing Luo suddenly raised her eyes and fixed her gaze on Ruoyu. Then, I'll ask my guess, you only need to nod or shake your head, how about that? Ruoyu smiled as he nodded. Yiqing Luoyu directly asked her initial suspicion. The powerhouse behind treasure-gathering pavilion, is she Xuanhuan? Shi Ruoyu was stunned and nodded after a while. As though he had not expected Yiqing Luo to be able to guess it accurately. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes and asked again, moreover that Shi Xuanhuan is actually not the real Shi family's young master. He's the young master of Godless Island. When Yiqing Luo's words landed, Shi Ruoyu stood up with a thump. The force was so great that even the chair he was sitting on was knocked over. He was totally unaware as his eyes opened wide, looking at Yiqing Luo in disbelief. After all, a child was still a child. No matter how smart he was. No matter how capable he was. After all, he had experienced too little. Shi Ruoyu's expression confirmed that Yiqing Luo's guess was completely correct. Yiqing Luo's eyes turned slightly cold as she met Shi Ruoyu's eyes without blinking. Her voice was suppressed as it revealed a trace of bewitchment, which is to say the powerhouse behind treasure-gathering pavilion is Godless Island. Yan Xiaoyi could be kidnapped in front of everyone in Jubao Pavilion. Later the guests found out and informed Shi Ruoyu. But during the kidnapping, why didn't anyone inform Shi Ruoyu? There was only one explanation. Even if someone kidnapped Yan Xiaoyi in front of everyone in the eyes of outsiders, it didn't look like a kidnapping. Chapter 1918. But later on, after Yan Xiaoyi, Yiqing Luo and the other two disappeared from treasure-gathering pavilion, those who saw Yan Xiaoyi being taken away then realized that it was a kidnapping. After that, the place where Yan Xiaoyi was imprisoned was the secret chamber of the Jubao Pavilion. There was another hidden room inside the hidden room. Furthermore, a soulless spirit formation had already been set up there. The Godless Array formation was the forbidden array formation of the Godless Island. If he wanted to successfully set up the formation, he would need to prepare at least 30 to 50 days in advance. He was someone who could move freely through the treasure-gathering pavilion, set up a formation, and knew everything about the treasure-gathering pavilion like the back of his hand. Other than the treasure-gathering pavilion, who else could it be? On the surface there was the Shi family and the Chu family. In that case, the young island master of Godless Island must be the force behind Jubao Pavilion. If it was Godless Island. The rumor that the power behind Jubao Pavilion was so powerful that no one could defeat it was also true. Shi Ruoyu put his hands on the table, his face full of surprise and disbelief. How did you know? Qing Luo, how did you guess it? The shock and astonishment in the youth's eyes were pure. Yiqing Luo stood up as she smiled lightly, because we've been trapped in the Godless Array for the past few days, so I'm more or less clear about the matters regarding the Godless Island. Godless Array? Shi Ruoyu's body stiffened. Godless Island actually used such a vicious array to deal with you? Godless Island. Ruoyu. Yiqing Luo suddenly turned serious as she called out his name. Shi Ruoyu was still in a trance. You don't have to interfere in this matter. Yiqing Luo looked straight into Shi Ruoyu's eyes. Godless Island is a force outside of Nirvana realm. Anyone who walks out from the island is much more powerful than us. As the future head of the Shi family, you cannot have any conflict with Godless Island. To Shi Ruoyu, she was merely his benefactor who had saved his life in the flame lair. Shi Ruoyu was not willing to risk his life for her and abandon his family. What's more, the Shi family only had two descendants, him and Shi Ruoshi. Yiqing Luo liked this pair of siblings from the Shi family from the bottom of her heart. She naturally did not wish for the two of them to offend the Godless Island because of her and become the target of the Godless Island. But Shi Ruoyu knew that Yiqing Luo's suggestion to the Shi family was the best choice. But Yiqing Luo was his benefactor. And Shi Ruoshi liked Yiqing Luo so much. If he knew that Godless Island wanted to deal with Yiqing Luo, he still pretended that nothing had happened and continued to collaborate with Godless Island to manage Treasure Pavilion. Wasn't that too inhumane? As if she could see through Shi Ruoyu's thoughts, Yiqing Luo smiled lightly as she shook her head. I'm already very happy that you're worried for me. Don't think too much about it. Even if you interfere now, it won't hurt Godless Island at all. On the contrary, it will affect the Shi family. You just need to control the power of the treasure-gathering pavilion in your hands. After that, we'll think of a way to screw over the Godless Island. A sly and evil smile appeared on her face. A scheming look flashed in his eyes. She laughed lightly. It's not a bad choice to use money to pay for the harm that you've caused me. Shi Ruoyu pursed his lips as he clenched his fists tightly and sat back heavily on the chair. He knew that what Yiqing Luo said made sense. He was interfering now to stand up for Yiqing Luo. The final result might be that Godless Island would be unscathed. Chapter 1919. Shiruoyu finally lowered his head and listened to Yiqing Luo's suggestion. All along he thought that he was considered young and promising, at least he could rely on his own ability to protect the people he wanted to protect. But in the flame nest, he felt his own insignificance and understood the logic that there was always someone better out there. But now, listening to Yiqing Luo's words, Shiruoyu increasingly felt that his ability was not as big as what he had imagined. He pursed his lips tightly, a flame in his heart was burning at this moment. After comforting Shiruoyu, Yiqing Luo brought Dmo Xian and left the tea room. On the way to Yan Xiaoyi's room, Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at the calm Dmo Xian. Xian, what do you think Godless Island's motive is? Godless Island was a plane outside of Nirvana realm. Its overall ability was above Nirvana realm. But they kept coming to the lower realm and their target was obviously her. The last time when she just entered Heavenly Academy, she met Wu Sanxia who tried to snatch the profound Phoenix Ring. This time they made use of Yan Xiaoyi to set her up, luring her into the godless array. Could it be? He simply wanted her to be attacked by the formation Eye in the soulless formation and lose her heart and soul? No. She remembered, the array Eye once said that it wasn't a coincidence that she returned to the 21st century in the godless array. But someone expended their own power to send her to this plane. Which meant that person was from Godless Island. What role did Yu Ming play in this? Or in other words, Godless Island sent her to the 21st century, so that Yu Ming could use her Yi family's bloodline to enter the ancestor's tomb? Thinking of this, Yiqing Luo couldn't help but feel chills down her spine. This also meant that Godless Island had long known of her identity as a transmigrator. Moreover, she had something that the Godless Island wanted. Or in other words, Godless Island wanted the Yi family's ancestor's item. The more she thought about it, the more terrifying it was. Just as Yiqing Luo was shivering and hugging her own arms, her body had been enveloped in a circle of warmth. The boiling hot chest scorched her delicate body. A warm big palm pressed down on her head. Little Luo, no matter what Godless Island thinks, I will not let Godless Island have any chance to hurt you. A voice that was as mellow as fine wine gently rang in his ears, easily soothing the anxiety and uneasiness in Yiqing Luo's heart. His hands encircled her waist. His kiss landed on the space between her eyebrows. Godless Island caused too much of a commotion this time. They won't do anything for a while. I won't interfere too much with the matters of the lower domain. I will arrange for the Emperor Palace's disciples to investigate the Godless Island. Yes. Yiqing Luo responded as her arms wrapped around his waist, burying her head in his arms. Xian, I will definitely work hard to become stronger. So strong that even Godless Island doesn't dare to have any ideas on me. I know you don't want me to interfere too much with you. You need the opportunity to grow independently. Dmo Xian said warmly, so I will not stop your growth. You only need to remember, no matter what, I will always be by your side. My protector, my strong backing. Yiqing Luo's eyes curved into a smile as she tiptoed and planted a kiss on his thin lips. I will not let you down. Her current ability was not enough for her to become enemies with Godless Island. Just like what she advised Shiruoyu. Chapter 1920. She would go to the Godless Island one day. Furthermore, by then she would let Godless Island know that if anyone dared to touch her, Yiqing Luo or her brothers, there would be consequences. He didn't want to turn that Godless Island into a wasteland. Her name was not Yiqing Luo. Dmo Xian lowered his eyes and looked at the young girl, his eyes filled with battle intent, blazing with fire. He couldn't help but curl his thin lips and smile in his eyes. It was indeed his little Luo heir. He would not be impulsive. If Lil Luo had to find trouble with Godless Island because of this, or if he wanted Godless Island to give him an explanation, even if he didn't agree with it, he would also follow Lil Luo's wishes. Even if he interfered in the matters of the lower realm, he would not hesitate. Luckily, his Lil Luo knew how to recognize her own strength. His forbearance now was not cowardice but wisdom. This would only strengthen Yiqing Luo's inner heart. When he had enough strength, he gave his opponent a fatal blow. Taking action personally was the real revenge. Night, floating fragrance restaurant. The spacious restaurant seemed to be extremely empty. However, it did not affect the liveliness of the restaurant. Devil classes students, as well as those guards who had put in effort to search for Yi Qing Luo and the others for the past 2 days, were seated at 10 over tables. Amidst the bustle, the dean, the vice dean, and a few other deans who had yet to leave the South Wave continent also came to ask for wine. The news that Shi Ruoyu had booked the entire First Fragrance restaurant and was inviting the Devil class students to a banquet. It had almost spread throughout the entire Valley Wind City. Those who wanted to build a relationship with the Devil class naturally took this opportunity to rush over to fawn on them. Therefore, the group of people followed behind the dean and vice dean. Among the few Academy's directors, Yi Qing Luo also saw Heavenly Academy's director, as well as the 2 elders Yun Xiang and Yun Duan. Yi Qing Luo's matters, as well as the Blazing Flame Nest's matters, were all related to the Heavenly Academy. The people from the Heavenly Academy were still in the South Continent and could not return to the West Continent. Looking at the Heavenly Dean and Yun Xiang, the light in his eyes was extremely complicated, filled with jealousy and disdain. On the other hand, Yun Duan looked at the people coming and going in the restaurant with a satisfied smile on his face. Yi Qing Luo was able to have such status and prestige today. As the elders of the Heavenly Academy, they should feel proud. Even if the Heavenly Academy had 2 students who colluded with the dark forces. But Yi Qing Luo's limelight had completely suppressed this matter. However, the Heavenly Dean and Yun Xiang were not happy at all. The dark forces were completely annihilated. This also meant that he would lose the protection of the dark forces. He had spent a lot of energy in the dark world and had to bow down to them. But now he didn't get any benefits. All these were Yi Qing Luo's fault. How could the dean be happy about this? Yun Xiang couldn't stand Yi Qing Luo's complacent face. Recalling that he had once caused quite a bit of trouble for Yi Qing Luo in the academy. Now that Yi Qing Luo had gained power, wouldn't she want to take revenge on him? Moreover, Shi Ruoyu was hosting a banquet today. Not a single Devil class student actually invited them? Where would they put their faces? However, no matter how much resentment he felt in his heart, they had to put on a smile and shamelessly come over. Because, the ultimate goal of this student exchange. But for the sake of the best academy, there was Yi Qing Luo in the Heavenly Academy. There was an 80% possibility that this year's Best Academy would fall into the hands of the Heavenly Academy. For the title of Best Academy. Chapter 1921. However, the entire restaurant was extremely lively. Countless of people surrounded the Devil class students, and even the principal and vice principal were squeezed into the crowd. The Heavenly Dean couldn't even squeeze through. "Alright, stop staring." Yun Duan caressed his white beard. "Find a corner and sit first." Yun Xiang retracted his gaze and his old face showed some uneasiness and anger. "In any case, you are still a student of the Heavenly Academy. Just a little bit of fame and you even threw us to the back of your mind." The Heavenly Dean restrained the ruthlessness in his eyes, followed behind Yun Duan, and found a table in the corner to sit down. There were at least 200 people in the restaurant. They could not show even the slightest bit of dissatisfaction. Otherwise, if he was caught by someone with ulterior motives, this would cause quite a bit of trouble. After sitting down, Yun Duan raised his teacup and glanced at Yun Xiang leisurely. She relied on her own abilities to lead the students of the Devil class and gain everyone's respect. It has nothing to do with us. She is now relying on her fame to leave the Heavenly Academy. That's understandable. Have you also been bewitched by her? Yun Xiang's face darkened. Although he was usually afraid of the First Elder, at this moment he really could not hold it in. Yun Duan sneered. "Yun Xiang, this is why you haven't broken through after 20 years. You're too narrow-minded, you won't be able to achieve anything great." Yun Xiang's face darkened as he tightened his grip on the teacup. "Alright. Don't let the other academies laugh at us. The president of Nantao Academy is still here." The president of xuanhuan, who was annoyed by the noise, furrowed his brows and rebuked. He shot a cold glance at Nantao's dean who was seated below Yi Qing Luo's table, as he felt more and more infuriated, feeling that Yi Qing Luo was intentionally going against Heavenly Academy. They knew that the Heavenly Academy and Nantao Academy were enemies. Every year they competed for the title of the Best Academy. Yi Qing Luo actually placed Nantao Academy under her seat. Whereas their Heavenly Academy, the Heavenly Academy where the Devil class was located, was still sitting in this corner with no one interested. At this moment, a loud noise suddenly came from the surroundings. About 100 people, armed with weapons, barged into the Drifting Fragrance restaurant. The lively atmosphere came to an abrupt halt at this moment. Everyone's eyes were focused on the crowd that had suddenly appeared. Those people were all dressed in black. The weapon in his hand shone with a cold glint. His eyes were vicious, as if he was looking at a dead man. Yiqing Luo pushed aside the few directors who had rushed up to her to propose a toast to her as she squinted her eyes and swept a glance at those 100 over black-robed men as her slender brows rose slightly. She stood up, her posture languid, her long and narrow eyes calm without a hint of panic. "Who are you people? Do you know what place this is?" Yiqing Luo's chilly voice sounded leisurely in the quiet restaurant, even if it was a cold interrogation. They all sounded like pearls and jades falling onto a plate, extremely pleasing to the ear. A group of people walked in through the open door. The leader of the group wore a navy blue robe with a belt inlaid with gold. At a glance, one could tell that it was a jade artifact of high quality. Wasn't that Prime Minister's son whom Yiqing Luo had met once outside the treasure-gathering pavilion? Behind Prime Minister's son were Zhao Qian's son, and Li Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she squinted her eyes meaningfully. Prime Minister's son was actually still in South Continent? Didn't he bid for the sky-returning primordial serene grass with the price of 70 million gold coins? You're tuning in to the Sworddance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.